Okay, here we are. I hope it's on live. Okay, now
Yeah,
we're
it
live.
looks like we're live.
Uncertain Dots, episode 20.
Episode 20. All right.
Yeah,
Arbitrary numerical signifier.
that's right.
And this is,
Exactly.
so, so you finished your summer class this week?
Yes. Well, I had a one makeup test this morning, but my other finals were yesterday. So we do have this weird online grade reporting where if you want to change, if you make a mistake or if you want to change something, there's a lot of paperwork involved. So I haven't actually posted grades officially yet because I'm afraid. But
yeah, we still hand in the grades on paper. We get a printed sheet from the registrar, shows up in our mailboxes. We have to write the grades into that and then sign it and carry it or have somebody carry it over to the registrar for us, and they collect everything on paper.
And then they digitize it.
And then they type it into a computer by hand.
So it could be a mistake in the typing in by hand.
It is entirely possible that might happen. I haven't encountered that happening with grades. I have seen that I had a student assigned to me as an advisee because he was taking Physics 100 in the fall a few years ago, who came in to meet with me about his first term classes. I'm like, okay, so you have any questions? He's like, yeah, why am I in this physics class? Because I asked for Psychology 101. and I'm like, well, so
how
they're
long did
one
he go
letter off.
before he changed? Was this the first day, or was it like 2 weeks later?
It was the day before classes started.
Okay.
And so we sent him down there, and they went back and they looked at the file, and sure enough, it's PSY 100 in his requests, and it got typed into the computer as PHY 100. So.
Well, I'm surprised that doesn't happen more.
It wouldn't have surprised me to find that the student had done it wrong.
Yeah.
But you think that. But yeah, they get everything on paper. They like have this online system where students put in their preferences, and then they print it all out, and then they type it into the computer. They're computer systems that aren't connected.
Just like in Battlestar Galactica.
Exactly. Yeah. They're completely separated, so that a virus can't go from one to the other.
It's safer that way, really. It's safer.
I think one of them, the registration system may still run on DOS. So.
Well, it was maybe 4 years ago or 5 years ago we moved away from a VAX, but which is actually was better the old way. The new web-based stuff they have, I don't know. It just there's a lot of clicking involved, and I just don't like it.
Yeah, we switched to the Google, the Gmail, apps for education thing, and I'm perfectly happy with that.
Yeah, but we don't use that for registration.
Oh yeah. I don't know much about what the registration system is. The advising system that we have is just horrendous. It's basically, unless you print it out on paper, it's impossible. It's next to impossible to work with. And the enrollment management is just awful. It's so needlessly painful to work with. And we have like our web advising system. If you type in, if you want to search for a specific student's transcript or records to change something, to put them in a course or allow them to register for anything, you can type in the name of a student and it'll search for it. Except it gives you, all it counts is the first two letters. So if if you're looking for someone whose last name is Zhao, there aren't that many ZH names in there. But if you start with like SM, if you want a Smith, you get like 3 pages of names when you're looking for one kid. So.
That's like a
all it counts is the first
problem.
2 letters.
All you search is the first 2 letters. That's.
Yep.
Back when we wrote it, we only had 4 bits of memory.
One day. I was searching for Hartwell one day, and I got everything with HA. every name. You know, I typed in the whole name. And I just everybody whose surname started with H.A. It's a terrible system.
It's crazy. Well, I remember registering for classes where you would go to like the arena and they'd have all these different tables set up and you take your cards to different tables. Now with the systems we have now, I find that so difficult to believe it even worked back then. You know, it's so much easier with the computer. But we're in, I think, year 3 of no. I think this coming year will be the 3rd year in which students have been able to register from their dorm rooms. We had, prior to that, we had about 5 years of web registration, where students had a specific time that they had to go to a specific room on campus and sit down at a computer that was set up there and register using a web browser on that computer there to register for their classes. It's funny. It's funny.
So they would be, our registrar's office would be much happier if we were still doing everything on paper.
Well, then I remember we had at one point, I can't remember which university, but they moved to telephone registration, and so you'd have this you have to keep dialing to try to get in, and you finally get in, then you get that was way worse than paper, but.
Yeah, like every class had like a 7-digit code number that went with it that you had to punch in for the specific section.
It was not good. It was not good.
Yeah, no, that Maryland had that when I was in grad school. So, yeah, it's one of my recurring peeves.
But the interesting thing is that it's not that difficult of a problem. I mean, how do you get, look at how many different things they have online that you could probably just right out of the box use for registration. But it seems that most of these universities tend to go with some very expensive, not very well functioning third-party solution that makes no one happy. No one. Really, you could make. I bet you could do registration with Google Docs, with the Google Forms and the Google spreadsheets. You could probably get just about everything to work that way.
Yeah, you can probably get pretty much the whole thing to work using something like that. Of course, the issue with that is it would be really easy to accidentally make it public to the entire world.
Right. Oh yeah.
Which is the thing that people do periodically with Google Docs. That's a problem. But yeah, we have a lot of silly computer things. We also have this same system. Like I can look up my class roster. It'll give me the list of names of who's in my class. But I can only do that from a computer that's physically on campus, or I have to log in via VPN, which screws up a whole bunch of other things for me. So because several years ago, like 10 or 12 years ago now, a CS student wrote a program for a senior project that was a meeting scheduler that would go and hit that database and pull out the schedules of a list of people that you gave it and find a time when all of them were free, like when none of them were in class.
Yeah.
And they offered this to the administration as a useful resource, and they flipped out about the privacy implications.
But how did they get access to all the students' information? I mean, it just wasn't protected before.
You couldn't get access to anybody's grades or anything, but what classes anybody was in was they had this set of pages that listed class rosters. So we just go scrape those and find people's names, and then find what time they were in class, and from that generate a list of times when people were free.
But very brilliant on the students' part, that's for sure.
Oh, it was a great thing. But yeah, now you have to log into that, and only faculty have access to it, and only from on-campus computers, because apparently that's. Meanwhile, I can look up their grades in Starbucks. So,
which is not your class roster.
But I can't look up the class roster. I can't find out who all is in my class.
But if you look at the grades, could you figure out what class they're in?
Yeah.
Okay.
You get a list of what classes they're in, and you could, Then you can find
You
out.
can't go class list students, but you can go individual students. You can look up all the students and write down all their classes and essentially generate your roster.
Yes, I could.
Okay.
So, yeah, because this makes sense.
Right.
So this is, but
It's the same way everywhere. So I mean, something will happen. They make a new rule. They make a new, something like that, such that we'll prevent that. It's sort of like the TSA, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we had a shoe bomber, so now everyone has to take off their shoes because that'll fix that, right?
Or the other, so now we have monthly emergency alert system tests. They once a month they sound the siren that's on top of one of the buildings, and this is the alert that if God forbid there was some Virginia Tech like situation, everybody would know there was a guy with a gun on campus. So once a month they test that. And we get all these emails, and they sound the siren, and then there's voicemails and loudspeakers and the whole deal. And the day of one of those in the winter a couple years ago, I parked in one of the big parking lots at one end of campus, and they have the emergency phones, with the blue lights.
Yeah.
For if someone's being attacked, they can hit the panic button and get campus safety there. There was snow in the parking lot. They cleared the parking lot by piling all of the snow in front of the emergency phone.
Wow.
But we're going to test the siren today. So, but the emergency phone, right off the street where people have been mugged in the past, that's buried in 4 feet of snow. It's like, good job.
Yep. I'm glad I'm not in charge of university because these people are probably obviously they're watching our hangout here. And
Sure.
You don't understand how hard it is to I don't know, make everything work.
Yeah, and it's legitimate. There's a lot of little things, but
I just don't want to be in charge. So
we do the siren thing once a month. We have one fire drill a year. Like, why? Why do we have so many more of these stupid little siren tests than we do, fire drills? Or
the siren test is easy. You just turn it on. Done.
Yeah, and that's what it is. And that was recent, so everybody was all panicky about their need for emergency notification, and so that. But I don't know. It's it's dumb.
Yeah.
But, you just live with it.
Well, I'm getting ready to start my summer vacation, so that's
Going
why.
anywhere interesting?
No, I'm working. Well, I'm going to Santa Monica. I'm going to the Rand Corporation tomorrow to give a talk.
Pretty cool.
And then I'm just. This is my only break that I get, so hopefully I'll get to blog a lot because that's what I really like to do.
Yeah.
The backlog in my head is built up, and I just want to get it all out. So it's been hard during the summer trying to get as much done as I wanted to blogging because summer class takes up so much time.
Yeah, we've got so I'm here next week, and then after that 3 weeks in Europe. So doing 2 weeks of vacation and World Science Fiction Convention in the UK, and then I'm doing this workshop for science writers in Stockholm. So that ought to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, 3 weeks will be a good long vacation too.
Yeah, it was only supposed to be 2 weeks, and in fact, Kate is only getting 2 weeks because she doesn't have that much vacation time built up. But I got this invite to go to Stockholm, so I'm extending my stay in London a couple of days, and then flying to Stockholm.
So are you gonna blog while you're traveling, or are you just gonna put the blog on hold?
I will probably check in a couple of times because I'm doing a talk at the Institute of Physics in the UK in Bristol. The day before WorldCon starts, I'm giving a talk promoting the new book, which 5 months before it's available. But
so WorldCon is like ComicCon, but for science fiction.
Yeah, it's more book focused than and not as much media. But
So
yeah,
how
science
how did
fiction.
you get into? You're big into science fiction. How did you get into science fiction?
That's what I read when I was a kid. I don't actually remember. Sometime like middle school, I decided that was the thing that I mostly liked reading and focused on primarily that. And so most of the stuff I read is science fiction, and so started going to it was like 99 or something was probably the first time, maybe 2000 was the first time we went to convention, and um, so I've been doing that for a while.
The same convention that you're going to here, or?
Now this is the world. This is the big WorldCon that happens, that moves around from year to year. There's a couple in the Boston area that we went to fairly regularly. We don't go to WorldCon every year. Um, Basically, we've mostly gone when it's either really convenient or in an interesting place. So we went to the one that was in Boston. We went to the one that's in Montreal because that's only a few hours drive, and we went to the one in Japan when it was in Yokohama because it was an excuse to go to Japan, and we're going to the one in the UK because it's an excuse to go to the UK.
So it's WorldCon, so it moves all over the world.
Right.
Do they have like a solar system con that moves to different planets and stuff?
I wish. That would be.
It's on Mars. Let's go.
That would be. If they had it on Mars, I would be. Except it's bad enough spending. We're spending 6 hours in a plane to get to the UK, or 13 in a 747 getting to Tokyo. I don't think the 6 months to get to Mars, I don't think would be. I'm not sure there'd be any con would be worth that trip. So that's going to be a really cramped little capsule.
Yeah, that'd be pretty bad. So I mean, are you on any like of these discussion panels or anything like that, or are you just going as a participant?
It's weird. I'm on a couple of panels about stuff that has nothing to do with. I'm on a panel about Ian Banks, who is a British sci-fi author. He died last year, and I'm on a panel about TED, and those are the only two things I'm on, which baffles me because I told them I'm a scientist, I'm a blogger, I'm an author of nonfiction books. I have a forthcoming book about scientific thinking in everyday life. And they have a panel that's like, what is science? And I'm not on it. Or like, I have a freaking book about this coming out. Like, why am I not on this panel? And so
you contact the people beforehand and told them that you want to be on a panel, or how does that work?
Yeah, they had a survey of people who are coming. Are you interested in being on program? And I sent them, and I've done this a bunch of times in other places. So I was on programming in Montreal and Japan. So I was on the list of people who might be good for that. But yeah, they didn't put me on any of the sciencey things. So I don't really understand what's up with that.
Because the one thing that one of my career goals is to be invited to a panel at ComicCon or something like that.
Yeah, that would be real cool. Or TED. But
I prefer ComicCon.
Those would be pretty sweet.
But they have all these panels that are like science of comic books and science of movies and stuff, and I'm like, I do all that all the time.
Yeah.
Invite me. So.
Yeah. Well, you've been credited in some TV shows, right?
Yeah, just two.
Yeah, so you gotta contact them, tell them, hey, mention me to Comic-Con.
Well, no, and that was the thing. I was like, oh, Angry Birds is going to Comic-Con. Wow.
Yeah. So you gotta get on them. You gotta get Rovio to pay you to fly you out to San Diego.
I'm giving it 2 more years to meet my goal. So next year, the year after that, and then I think I'm going to get a new goal. Maybe something more realistic. Like I don't know, juggle. Learn how to juggle.
Yeah.
chainsaw.
And then after you learn how to juggle, you'll get invited to Comic-Con
for juggling.
Mm-hmm.
But not for comic book stuff. So
something like that.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the dog book thing. I easily could have imagined myself writing pop science books at some point, but the talking dog thing, totally random, totally out of the blue, completely ridiculous chain of events. So.
But it worked, right?
Yeah, it's probably what'll end up happening. But,
yeah, a lot of these things are just total coincidences. I mean, it's really just luck. And I think it's a lot with lots. The same is true for actors and singers. There's a lot of great singers out there that aren't well known, and they just get lucky. A lot of them just get lucky, and they become pop star or something. And I think the same thing can happen with writing. I think there's a lot of great writers out there, and a lot of people did Angry Birds stuff, but I just happened to be, I think, the first, and that kind of cashed in a little bit. So not like I'm rock star famous or anything, but it just could be anything.
Yeah, and there's this total random element to it, because I know a lot of people who are really good writers online who are really working really hard to try to get specific meet specific goals and just get shut out from things, and I don't understand the logic of it. It's
kind of I think part of it's a viral thing. You get some of these blogs that are obscure, but something happens. They write one thing, and that one thing is somehow super popular, and it just escalates. I think there was one.
I mean, the talking dog post. I mean, the dog physics books are, I wrote one post that got linked by Boing Boing, and an agent contacted me and said, this would be a great idea for a book. And I said,
now, what year was that?
That was 2007, 2006.
So, and that's the other thing is getting success in 2006 is like way more useful than success now. I mean, one good post in 2006 is going to build up a lot more over time. Especially in 2006, you were one among much fewer people that were writing online, right? How many bloggers were online in 2006? I don't know, hardly any.
Yeah, the number was a lot smaller. It was after science blogs launched. I think it might have been 07. I think it was May of 07.
But still, you've been blogging for a real long time.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd already been at it for like 6 years. So and that one thing caught on, and
you're like the Gandalf of blogging.
No, that's Derek Lowe. Derek Lowe predates me.
But is he still blogging?
Oh yeah,
okay.
Yeah, more regularly than I have been. So it's in the pipeline as a chemistry blogger.
Oh, but it's chemistry. What about physics?
Okay, so physics. Some people claim John Baez's this week's finds in mathematical physics. That goes back like 20 years. So that goes back a long time.
20 years?
Yeah, I mean, it used to be an email newsletter, and then became a website. So so it goes back long time. So, but I don't know that I count that. I think I might be the first physics blog in the modern thing that started as a blog sense.
Yeah, I don't know any older blogs in physics than you. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so. So.
We'll just say it's true then.
Yeah. So might as well. Or put it on Wikipedia. Everybody will believe it.
Do you have a Wikipedia page?
I do. It's not. At some point, I said, "Hey, somebody should really make me a Wikipedia page on the blog," and somebody did. But it's a little stub of a page. You should totally get somebody to edit it and add more information.
But it didn't get deleted, so that is important. I mean, look how many people this. I'm going to make my own Wikipedia page. Boom, it gets deleted. And so because it's like not what's the term they use?
Citation needed or something.
Citation needed or not.
Yeah, they're not noteworthy.
Not important enough. Not important enough. Yeah. So that it didn't get deleted is good enough.
Yeah, I think it was flagged as questionable for a while. I don't know if it still is. It's been quite a while since I looked at it.
Well, I'm going to look right now. Let's see what it says.
Oh, don't you have like some circular reference on it?
Mine says. Okay, now I got to look it up. It says something about on commenting on his Wikipedia page. He says it's not great, but not wrong either, or something. So let's see. Let me look. Which is weird. I mean, who would put a comment about Wikipedia in Wikipedia? Our yours isn't bad. You need a picture.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot there. That's pretty good.
So it's brief, but again, not wrong.
Right.
Of his Wikipedia biography, Allain has said that it is brief, but again, not wrong. So there you go.
But if you, and this is actually nice. I can't pronounce it correctly, but you can talk to Google on your phone, and you'll say, "Who is Rhett Allain?" And if it understood the words and spelled it correctly, it would just answer with your Wikipedia bio, and it tells you, "Oh, Rhett Allain is a physics professor at blah 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 blah," but it doesn't understand my name, so it doesn't spell it correct, so it can't find it.
Yeah, I doubt it would get mine right either. Most people who see it written down want to pronounce it Orzel. We've always said Orzel, so if I said it, it might register it as wrong. Or
the funny thing that someone pointed out to me is, and you can do this on the phone. You do the Google search and you talk to it, and you say, "Why do astronauts float around in space?" And Google tells you the answer, and it's wrong, and it's from my blog. It reads the answer. Let's see. Let me read the answer. If you Google "Why do astronauts float around in space?" Astronauts float around in space because there's no gravity in space. Everyone knows that the farther you get from the Earth, the less the gravitational force is, and then blah blah blah. And then it links to my blog.
Which that's like the introduction to.
Yes, this is what everyone thinks that's wrong. That's what I say. And so, I mean, Google even reads it to you.
That's pretty good. So you could be cited for spectacularly wrong information.
Well, and it's out of context because I did say the right answer.
Yeah. At least there was a guy several years ago. There was a guy who sued Wikipedia because, like, some acquaintance of his, as a gag, edited his Wikipedia page to say that he was the shooter on the grassy knoll who killed Kennedy.
And it stayed.
Figuring that it would be taken down in minutes. But somehow it just slipped through and was on this guy's Wikipedia page for a couple of years. And then he for some reason looked himself up, and it says he shot Kennedy on the page.
And then someone put sources needed.
Suing Wikipedia to find out who had said that about him. It turned out to be somebody he knew.
Oh, so he won.
Nah, I think he like filed suit, and then the story got into the news, and then whoever had done it fessed up.
Yeah, and you can track that stuff anyway. Usually you can figure out who made the edits, right?
Yeah, I think it was like a weird
the IP address at the very least.
Yeah, that. I do have a Wikipedia account, but I'm told it's bad form to edit your own.
Right. Page, so. Yeah, I let mine go. Yeah. The most I'll do is hint, hey, this probably isn't right in Wikipedia, and someone will go and change it. So.
Yeah. I created it one time just because I was looking for information about, it was like the Davison-Germer effect or something, experiment. You look it up on Wikipedia, and there's this explanation of it that contains the words, as shown in the figure at right, and there's no figure. And I'm like,
so you copied and pasted that whole thing and Googled it.
so I googled it, and it turns out it comes from Hyperphysics,
And they just stole it.
which is a great site. It's just blatantly plagiarized from Hyperphysics, except whoever did it was lazy and didn't copy the figure as well. So I created a Wikipedia account just to add a note saying this is plagiarized from Hyperphysics. Like, somebody fix this. So, but I don't do I don't do a lot of Wikipedia editing. There's a lot of the physics things are really bad, but I don't spend a lot of time fixing them because I don't want to have to track down the citations for things.
No, right. I agree. I'm not going to fix that.
If it's like a derivation of something, like, I don't know what the citation is. I know how to derive it.
Anyway, I only use Wikipedia for, I mean, you're right, Hyperphysics is much better as a textbook type thing. I would use Wikipedia to look up, the mass of some particular moon or the radius of a, comet or something like that, the more factual stuff.
Yeah, sort of basic facts. When did Enrico Fermi die?
Right.
Okay. I can look up his Wikipedia page. Remind me of some of the important facts of his life.
Or other important things like, what do I think about my Wikipedia bio? If I don't know, I'll just go look it up on Wikipedia.
Whether you think your Wikipedia bio is accurate.
It's brief, but not wrong. So that's what I use it for.
So, I don't know. Yeah. So on a completely different note, there's all these tweets from the AAPT meeting.
Yeah.
It's now making me think that I should have gone to the AAPT meeting this summer.
Well, I always think that, but for me, really, I can get one partial trip paid for a year, and so I could go to AAPT. I wouldn't be able to get the whole thing covered, but then I got summer classes. I got another trip that is covered. So I mean, I enjoy going a lot, but I don't know. It's just tough to always go. So.
Yeah, I haven't been to any of those because it usually comes like their meetings usually fall like it's like the winter one is like in our first week of classes.
Yeah.
And the summer one is frequently the same week as something else, or I have research students who I'm not often comfortable leaving alone for a week at a time. But it sounds like there's some interesting stuff being said there.
I think this year they finally started reaching a critical mass with Twitter where they can actually make it useful. And they had I watched I can't remember his name. Who's the comic books physics guy, the superhero?
Jim Kakalios.
Yeah, he gave a keynote last night, and you could watch it live online.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched that, and it was pretty good. And then you get a lot of links and stuff from Twitter, and you can kind of get a sense of what's going on, and I like it. So
yeah,
I find it very useful. Twitter very useful when I'm at the conference too, because you can keep in contact with other people and stuff too, and
right.
It's easier to meet up and things. So
yeah, and I also see a lot of that going on. I see a lot of people making plans to go get drinks. So.
Right. And I'm like, I want a beer. I feel it's so bad. I'm like, I want to be there.
I'd like to go out for a beer with you if I was in a different city. So
I'm way far away, but
yeah. Or maybe we should do next week for this. Is we should try and get a couple of the people who are there to talk about.
I thought you were gonna be gone.
No, next week I'm here.
Okay.
So it's a week after. Week after that I'm away.
Okay, well then, if anyone watches this and is at AAPT, because that's what I would do if I was at AAPT, I'd be watching this.
Totally be watching our
hangout. Send us, either email us or send us a Twitter note and say you want to talk about AAPT, and we'll pick a couple people maybe if someone replies.
So this is a good way to get people to start watching. We offer valuable prizes.
Yeah.
So in the special 21st edition of
That's right, because 21 is a special number.
That's right. So.
But 23 is prime, so.
True.
We'll have to wait for that. So. All right, well, I think that's a good place to end it.
I think that's a good place to stop.
Okay, we'll stop there then. And then next week we'll do something cool probably. Or make up stuff.
or make up something. You know, we can edit. You know, we can make a we can collaboratively edit a Wikipedia entry for Andy Runquist.
Actually, you know, I would suggest that Uncertain Dots needs a Wikipedia page. I'm not going to make it, but I'm just saying that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, it would also be poor form for us to make a Wikipedia page. But
no, I'm not saying right. I wouldn't do that. I'm just saying it'd be cool.
Yeah. So it probably first needs like a dedicated YouTube page.
Right. Yeah, I got to put that together too.
Figure out how to do that.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Let's see.